Yes, what's happening, people? And welcome back to Gav Goes In. Big up to the chat, big up to Tom, big up to Shaheen Afridi, big up to Reluctant Gamer. Big up yourselves, guys, for coming through each and every time. Guys, just gonna go through your chats. Obviously, I appreciate you guys coming on there. Obviously, smashing the like button and giving me your questions. So as we said, Tottenham, man. Obviously it's the title. Are Tottenham showing serious intent? And for me, what I like about what Tottenham have done there is that they've identified, for me, two key areas in their team, and they've not messed around. They've just gone, right, we're gonna go and sign players that we feel. Guys, sorry, bear me 1 minute. This sun's killing me, man. I should be having a bit more of a better screen coming very soon, But this sun, yeah, there we go. So, as I said, guys, the fact that Tottenham have got, they've signed Kudus for what, 60 mil, Morgan Gibbs-White 60 mil, and then Kudus, I think it's initial 55, but I think that might add up to 60. So for me, Tottenham are showing that they mean business, and I think under Thomas Frank as well. I think Thomas Frank, for me, is a very good manager. And, there was links to Johan Visser, which I don't know how serious those links were. But to get Kudus in and Gibbs-White, as we mentioned yesterday, I'm quite surprised they've actually signed Gibbs-White, if I'm honest. I didn't really see that one coming. I mean, you look at, as I said before yesterday, you look at Kulusevski and Maddison, who can both play in the 10. So where does Gibbs-White actually figure? And I think it's more of a squad option as well, I would say, because, as I said, you look at the likes of Son. What happens to Son? Because Son, for me, doesn't realistically have a nailed-on starting position, I would say. I know he's the captain, but I think the sign of Gibbs-White, they could play Gibbs-White from the left, Kulusevski, Kudus, or they could play Kudus, Maddison, Gibbs-White, or you can play Kulusevski, Maddison, Gibbs-White. They've got a lot of options there now. So, yeah, man, it's impressive from Tottenham, definitely. And as I said, some of you in the chat already. So Shahid Afridi has said, Spurs have signed Gibbs-White and Arsenal have signed Madueke. And you know what it is, Shaheen, and big up yourself as well. You know what it is. Where do I start with this? For me, it just shows you that even as bad as where Tottenham finished, Tottenham can at least say to themselves that they are trying to improve things. They are trying to rectify certain parts of their team. This Madueke signing of 55 mil, again, I just don't understand what Arsenal are actually thinking, because how does Madueke actually improve them? And for 55 mil. So, yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. Gibbs-White 55 mil, 60 mil, Madueke 55, And Arsenal, for me, I think they're looking for an out-and-out winger. And again, I can see why they've gone for Madueke, but did I actually believe that Arsenal would actually sign him and pay that amount? Giving Chelsea 55 mil. And you have to believe as well, Chelsea are going to go out and spend that money. I'm 100% certain Chelsea go out and spend that money on someone. I'll be very surprised if Chelsea just get that money in for Madueke and say we're not gonna spend. So, but yeah, as Shaheen said, man, Spurs signed Gibbs-White and obviously Kudus. Arsenal signed Madueke. And again, for me, another sign that this club ain't serious. That Arsenal team ain't serious, because surely, like, if you're at the stage where Arsenal are at, you need to be bringing in players that instantly improve your first 11. You don't go and buy bench players when you're trying to chase down the title. And this is the problem. And for 55 mil as well. So, yeah, for me, poor business from Arsenal. But, again, I'm not an Arsenal fan, so I'm trying to give you my opinion. And if you're an Arsenal fan, again, let me know, man. Let me know what you think on that signing. Again, if you're a Tottenham fan, are you excited with the likes of Kudus and Gibbs-White now being at Tottenham? Like, let me know, guys, because again, for me, Tottenham are showing real intent to at least be, I'll go as far as saying now, I expect Tottenham to be top 10, top 8. That's a minimum requirement with the two signings. And I do believe Tottenham are not finished signing either. I think Tottenham, I look at their team, I reckon they get in another central midfielder. And I believe they get in possibly another striker to compete with Solanke. Yeah, I reckon so. And again, what I would say, guys, if we look at Tottenham's best 11 with the two signings now, you'd obviously go Vicaria in goal. The back four, and it's a back four that I've always said is a very good back four. I know people will have their comments about Christian Romero. Obviously he's their vice captain. Obviously Van der Ven as well is a bit injury prone. But that back four of Udogie, Van der Ven, Christian Romero and Pedro Porro, I think that's actually a decent back four. And then you've got the likes of Jed Spence as well, who I'm a big fan of Jed Spence. He can play left and right back. You've got Kevin Danso as well, who come in as well in January. So they've got options at the back there. And I think they're going to have a better season. I think they're going to be more organised as well under Thomas Frank. But I think going forward is where it's going to be frightening for them, where they're going to improve. And if you look at the midfield, so if they're playing a 4-3-3, let's say, or a 4-2-3-1, the two in midfield, you've got the likes of Bissouma, Rodrigo Bentancur. Obviously, you've got Lucas Bergvall, who was arguably one of their best players last season. Maddison could play deeper, Papa Matasar as well, So they've got legs in the team, in the two young ones in Sarr and Bergvall. And then you've got the experience of Bissouma and Bentancur. So I wonder if Tottenham actually go into the market for a central midfielder. And then obviously in the 10s, as we've mentioned, the sign of Gibbs-White, Maddison can play in the 10, and Kulusevski. On that right-hand side, Kudus is a definite starter. And then you've got Kulusevski can play out there. Brennan Johnson obviously still there as well and has been playing there. The left-hand side, I think, which is where they're going to probably look. Obviously, Gibbs-White can play out there. Mattis Tell, they've signed, can play there. Son, as we know, as well. And then up top, you've got Dominic Solanke, And obviously, you've got some of the youngsters like Mikey Moore, who might figure quite more in this upcoming season, And I think that's everyone, yeah. So I would have to go along and say that, and obviously Tell can play through the middle as well. But I think I can see Tottenham at least getting a couple more players. And I think central midfield and a striker, I reckon. Or who knows, they might even get a left winger striker, left winger midfielder. Who knows? But I reckon there's a couple of players that they're going to be looking to bring in for sure, man. Gamer says, Gamer says, I think he's late because he's stuck on crazy traffic. Yeah, big up, Gamer, man. As you know, man, traffic down there is mad lately. So, yeah, I had to pop out quickly to go and get some petrol, man, because the petrol wasn't there. And again, there's no petrol in that same petrol station where I went to. So I had to just put on a quick little 20 pound to get me around, man. So, yeah, it's madness. Big up to Tom Lathan. So Shaheen says Spurs are definitely getting top 8. I think if we look at the top 8 now, I think City and Liverpool, they're definitely going to be in there. So that's 2 spaces already. Then you've got Chelsea. Then you've got Arsenal. Then you've got Newcastle. So that's 5 teams already. Then the next batch of teams for me, I want to include Man United in this. But the problem is, if Man United just get Cunha and this manager is still doing his usual bullshit, I can't put United in the top 8, unfortunately, But I'm just hoping United do improve, and we can see some improvement in terms of the performances and the results. So City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle, Arsenal. That's the 5 teams already. Then you've got Aston Villa, which is 6. I think you might have to say Brighton. I think Brighton as well. Brighton have to be up there. And then you've got the likes of Tottenham. Man United, could they be in there? Nottingham Forest, could they kick on from next season? You know, so it's going to be, and there's probably a couple of other teams that I've actually probably forgot to mention. But you'd expect those teams to be battling it out for the top 8, top 10 positions for me. So, but to say Spurs top 10, top 8 at the moment, I wouldn't say that confidently, even though they have made 2 very good signings. But they're definitely going to be, up there. I believe with them signings. And as I said, I don't think they're finished yet. Shaheen says Arsenal have wasted money on Madueke. Wanyeri is better. And again, Shaheen, big up yourself. We've already touched on this before, a couple of days ago, actually. So, again, just like Rodrigo at Real Madrid, Ethan Wanyeri, for me, has to move on. And what I would say... sorry about that. What I would say is I think this is a statement from Arteta, you know, and again, I could be wrong, but I think it's a statement from Arteta to say that he doesn't really rate Wanyeri that highly. Because if he did, he wouldn't bother going to spend money on Madueke and trust... he would have just trusted Wanyeri. And again, Wanyeri is someone that can play, you know, as a 10, play on the right wing as well. And the fact that he's gone and parted ways with 55 million for Madueke, for me, that's Arteta telling Wanyeri, you know, that he doesn't really trust him. You know, and again, people might think differently, but how else? If I'm Wanyeri, that's the only way that I'm going to see it, regardless of his age. You don't go and spend 55 mil on Wanyeri, on Madueke, when there's other parts of the team that needed sorting out. And I think what Arteta's going to do as well, and guys, don't be surprised, I can see Arteta doing the same thing what's his name done? Enzo Maresca done, and play Madueke as a winger on the left. So don't be surprised if you see Madueke and Bukayo Saka as the 2 wing options in certain games. Don't be surprised, you know. But 55 mil, yeah. If I'm Wanyeri, I'm making moves to get out of there. 100%. Yeah, big up Shaheen. Shaheen, it's not, you know what it is? It's not so much about Wanyeri scoring screamers. I think if you just look at Wanyeri as a footballer, you know, he's a very good footballer. And you can tell the potential is there for him to be one of the big players in England, definitely, for club and country. But if he's getting players like Madueke coming into the team, and again, Madueke's cost money, automatically now, Madueke is going to be ahead of Wanyeri in the pecking order. So if I'm Wanyeri, I'm making moves to go. And who knows? He may have thought that he needed to get Madueke in because he's probably looking at Wanyeri stalling on a contract and thinking that he might go. And as I said, don't be surprised if Max Dowman is the Wanyeri replacement, but then they're getting in Madueke as an extra body in the squad. Don't be surprised, guys. And again, it's not good enough for me personally, you know. Well, yeah, exactly. As you said, Tom, for me, he's ruining Wanyeri. He is, because Wanyeri should have got more game time last season, especially how poor Odegaard was. And even when Saka was out injured, Wanyeri didn't play as much as was expected, you know. And what I would say is that, for me, this season's crucial for him, for his development, because he's what now? He's 18 now. You know, this is a guy that made his debut at 15. So it just shows you football can go just like that, you know. So he's 18 now. And if he's in the same situation as he was this season, you know, by the time he knows it, he's going to be hitting 20s and not really kicked on in his career. So I think it's down to him and his agent to get him a move. Even if it's a loan move to showcase what he's all about, I think that would be a good bet, you know, for him. Big up to Arsenal and Pakistan cricket team fan. Yeah, big up for coming on. Big up to Johan Cruyff, the fan of Spurs. Big up. So what about Gibbs-White? The deal is off. I'm actually worried. No, I haven't seen that. Where are you getting that from? Guys, has anyone confirmed that the Gibbs-White deal is off? Because how can it be off if it's a release clause? The only way it would be off is if Gibbs-White has turned around and rejected the contract offer. But there's nothing Nottingham Forest can do because it's a release clause. So, and again, I've not heard nothing about the deal being off. So I've heard that he's signed. He's having a medical. You know, unless he's got a long-standing injury or he's turned down the contract offer, there's no chance of the deal being off from the club side. So, yeah, I'm not taking that seriously. So, yeah, we have to wait and see. Guys, sorry, I'm just watching the Wimbledon semi-final, man. Djokovic in trouble at the moment against Yannick Sinner. Sinner's winning... well, he's winning. He's up by 2 sets, and he's winning the last. He's winning at the moment the third set, 5-4. So this could be the winning set for him. But you know, as we know with Djokovic, you know, Djokovic is the master at these kind of things where you think he's out and somehow he turns it around. But yeah, he's being dominated at the moment. But if he wins this set, you know, who knows? But it's going to be tough because Sinner's 5-4 up. So not Brett May says, sorry, not Brett May, sorry. Arsenal Pakistan cricket team says Eze could join us because Palace are getting demoted from UEL, so they will have less fun. So maybe they might sell Eze. Yeah, you know what? I think because and funny enough, actually, I see that as soon as I come in the door, I just see that Palace demoted to that the breaking news literally was happening as soon as I turn the TV on. And what I would say is, I think Eze, definitely Mark Guehi, and possibly either Ismail Assar or Mateta. I think between those 4 players, I think 2 of them might go at the very fact that Palace have been demoted now for me. So, and again, someone like Eze's what, 26, 27. Someone like Eze, yeah, someone like Eze, he for me is too good to be playing Conference League, in my opinion. I think someone like Eze needs to be playing, you know, Champions League football, definitely. And whether Arsenal come in with a bid, and guys, I don't think Arsenal bid for Eze now. I think that money that they spent on Madueke was the Eze money. I'll be very surprised if Arsenal go in for Eze and Gyökeres. And if they do that, I'll have to sit here right now and say, do you know what? Although Arsenal have signed Madueke, it's a signing that I don't rate. I think we have to. I think we have to applaud it. If I'm honest, if they get Eze, Gyökeres, and then they've got Madueke and Zubimendi in as well, I think we have to applaud it. You know. So, but do I see them doing that? I don't, because to spend that money or 55 mil on Madueke, yeah, isn't good enough for me. But who knows, man? Who knows what Arsenal have in store? Not Brett May says Spurs will finish 15th. I'm guessing not Brett May's an Arsenal fan. Listen, not Brett May, man. If you're an Arsenal fan, I mean, how do you feel about Arsenal signing Madueke and Tottenham getting Kudus and Gibbs-White? It's mad. Guys, match point for Yannick Sinner, Wimbledon semi-final. Destroying him, man. Madness. So Arsenal and Pakistan cricket team says, I would say Wanyeri should go on loan, but Arteta will still keep him and won't play Wanyeri. And he won't even play Madueke that much unless Saka gets injured. Yeah, I agree. As I said earlier, I think Wanyeri definitely, for me, needs to force the issue, whether it's a loan move or permanent. And don't be surprised if you see Madueke playing on the left wing, because I can see that happening, you know. I can see Arteta doing something like that, you know. Boy, Djokovic got destroyed, man. He's lost. DXR says some dead signing. Not gonna lie, Sterling version 2. Bro, don't disrespect Raheem Sterling. That's what I would say. Do not disrespect Raheem Sterling, man, because at least Raheem Sterling had pedigree. You know, Raheem Sterling's a league winner, multiple league winner. You know, he's an England international as well with a few caps, and that's shown up in competitions for England. You know, as bad as he's been lately, he's got pedigree. So I'm not even gonna say he's a Raheem Sterling version 2. I think that's a disrespect to Sterling. You know, not Brett May says I'm a Rangers fan but support Chelsea as well. Okay, big up, man. So I mean Rangers. Okay, I mean, how do you think Rangers are gonna do this season? Against, I mean, Celtic obviously gonna be the favourites, but you know what? Rangers have got some decent players, man. You know, I mean, when United played Rangers in the Europa League, I mean, the finish from Cyril Dessers, man, what a finish that was. You know, and obviously they got the is it Igamane, the striker as well. I think he's quite good. You know, they got some decent players, man. But yeah. So, Gav, I feel our rivals are back after those signings and they are in Champions League because of Europa League win. So they might get more funds for next season if they can come back in Premier League and reach far in the Champions League. Bro, listen, when you're saying you think our rivals are back, to be honest with you, who you talking about? You talking about, because I'm guessing you're an Arsenal fan, right? Yeah? Because if you're talking about Man United, then I can't really answer that because the state that United are in right now, man, I can't even hate on the rivals because they're doing what's required, and Man United are just pissing about, man. So if you're an Arsenal fan, I hear it, but Man United, yeah, yeah, I can't really entertain that, man, because United are poor. So big up to Daniela Iacona as well. So I think Romero will join Atletico for 52 million plus add-ons. Yeah, I mean, do you know what? Funny enough, actually, Christian Romero is a typical Diego Simeone player. Obviously, both of them Argentinian as well. So I can see why he'd want him. You know, the aggressive nature of Romero. You know, I can see why I'd want him. Whether Tottenham part ways with him, because again, Tottenham will need to go and look for a replacement. Because I think Danso is more going to be used as a rotation, whereas Romero is a main starter. So if they can go and get someone for cheaper, and that's going to be a starter for them, then maybe that might be a possibility. But at this moment now, I'm not sure if Tottenham accept any bids for Romero. Yeah, and as Not Brett said, Romero to Atletico is off. I mean, I've not heard that, but I'll be very surprised if they accept any incoming bid unless Romero's told them he wants to go. You know? Big up Arsenal for wasting Nwaneri's potential and talent. Yeah, listen, I can't lie, man. It's poor. It is poor, man. It is poor. Because Nwaneri, as I said, is a very good player, man. And to think that Arsenal signed Madueke. I mean, I've been hearing all the jokes today, you know, Noni, Mada Henry, you know, Noni Henry, I've heard. Yeah, it's madness, man. Absolute madness. But I heard Newcastle might be interested in Gallagher. Gamer, listen. If Newcastle go and part money with Gallagher, kiss goodbye them Champions League hopes, them title pushes, because you don't go and sign Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher's not what you need. So I'm not even gonna believe that. You know, Conor Gallagher is the last player that Newcastle need. If you want Conor Gallagher, someone that's a bit similar to him, just keep Longstaff. And even that, Longstaff's probably more technical than Gallagher. But yeah, I don't see that happening. Gav, how do you think about Retegui, Serie A's highest goal scorer, joining Al Qadsiya for 20 million salary, 7 mil add-ons in total? Yeah, I think I touched on this yesterday. Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not surprised. You know, when Saudi offer the money, you know, you've got to be very strong-willed to say no to the Saudi money because, as I said, they're offering you life-changing money, and there wasn't really any concrete interest in Retegui as well. You know, at Atalanta. So the fact that they've come in with a 20 mil salary, yeah, I mean, it's not really surprising, if I'm honest, that he's gone there. You know, how old is he? I think he might be about what? Is he early 20s? You know, so he might look at it and think he can still have a career in Europe, but obviously the money they're offering, you know, and again, the money that Saudi are paying for him to Atalanta, they're obviously gonna take that up. So you can't really blame him. Big up to Gunners fan. So Shaheen says, how many Saudi League teams can establish themselves in the Premier League in your opinion? So definitely Al Hilal. What is it? I forgot the team's names. Who's the one that Ivan Toney and Riyad Mahrez play for? So you got Al Hilal. You've got, I can't remember the team names, but I think there's about 3 or 4 of them definitely. I think Al Nassr you can say as well. Al Hilal, as I said, the one that Toney and Mahrez play for, and Al Qadsiya probably as well. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell because they're not playing against these teams, but you think with the kind of players they've got there, players that are proven in the Premier League, or proven elsewhere, that they would fancy their chances definitely. That's the one. Al Ittihad. That's the one. Al Ali, I'm not too sure. I don't really know who plays for Al Ali. So Al Hilal, Al Ittihad, and is that Benzema's one? Is that wait? Is that Benzema's one? Al Ittihad, and wait, guys, is Al Ali? Is that Ivan Toney and Riyad Mahrez, and Al Ittihad is Benzema? Is that the one? Because if so, then the teams that Tom Lathan's just mentioned, I think all of them would have a good chance. Yeah. Gibbs-White is very versatile, so he's a good signing. I agree. Big up to Michael Bracewell as well. I think Harvey Elliott, Wanyeri, and Rodrigo need to move on, and they become the next big players. Yeah, listen, great question, Michael. Yeah, I agree with that as well, because I think that for all different reasons, those 3 players there are players that can get game time elsewhere. In Rodrigo's case, for me, he can go and play for any team in the world and start. Wanyeri's case, he's still trying to, obviously, he's still young, but the potential that he has, and you can tell that he's someone that just needs regular football. And if he gets that, I think he's going to go up and up and up. But I think that will be away from Arsenal, in my opinion. And Harvey Elliott's a difficult one because Harvey Elliott's good enough to be part of Liverpool's squad, and he will get his fair share of games. But in terms of being a regular starter, I don't see Harvey Elliott ever being a regular starter at Liverpool. And that isn't because he isn't good enough. It's that the competition there is high. And if you look at where he plays, the direct competition for where he plays is occupied by Mo Salah. And then you've got Gravenberch and McAllister. And again, Harvey Elliott isn't a deep lying midfielder really. And in the 10, they just signed Florian Wirtz, and obviously Szoboszlai is more of an athlete as well. So yeah, through no fault of his own, Harvey Elliott is good enough. But if he wants to be a squad player, then I think he stays there. But if he feels that he needs to move on to get regular game time, then I'd respect it, and I think that's what he needs to do. Gunners fan says, thankfully Arsenal are working on Eze differently from Madueke, so we can get him and Gyökeres. Yeah, big up to Gunners fan. I'll be honest with you, I don't think Arsenal sign Eze, because I think that Eze money, as I said, has been used on Madueke. Because I can't see Arsenal signing both Eze and Gyökeres now that Madueke is there as well. So I think they're gonna get Gyökeres and have Madueke. I don't think Eze goes, because Palace are going to ask for 68 mil, because as we know, 20% of that goes to QPR. So they're going to try and drive a hard bargain for me, Just going to skim through the comments, guys, and see. Yeah, I think I heard about this. It's a bit sneaky from Forest, but then again, listen, man, they've got themselves in Europa League, which is going to be more money. So, yeah, you have to laugh really, but yeah, I think they've done Palace dirty there, man. But yeah, who knows? So, Arsenal and Pakistan cricket team says, I think Wanyeri should be loaned to Wolves or to newly promoted teams in the to championship teams. Yeah, well, I think personally, Wanyeri is good enough to play for a Premiership team on loan. I do think that. I mean, Championship, as we know, is a hard league, and again, it could give him something that might have been missing in terms of being ready and available to play every couple of days. But I think the talent that he's shown so far and the potential that I believe he's got, I think he's good enough to go on loan to other teams in the Premiership. Definitely, yeah, 100%. Djokovic is the GOAT of tennis. For me, Federer is for me. But Federer, Djokovic, Nadal. I mean, that three there was yeah. That's probably been one of the best eras of tennis I've watched. But I think it's safe to say, obviously Federer's retired. I think I'm not sure if Nadal's playing now, but Djokovic just got destroyed by Sinner in straight sets. I think it's safe to say that that era now is well and truly finished now. And I think you're going to see Alcaraz and Sinner, obviously two players who are now in the final. I think they're going to be the Federer and Djokovic, the Federer and Nadal of their era now. Definitely, I think they're the two. I think well they're actually 1 and 2, so they're the two that's dominating it now. You know, and yeah, but Djokovic, yeah, man, what a career he's had. But I think in terms of him dominating now, I think his time's done. That's just like Nadal and Federer had, you know. So how many years do you think United will become a good team again? I'll be honest, Shaheen. Yeah, for me, I don't believe it takes long, and I'll tell you why. For me, it's about who United bring in. If United bring in club signings rather than signings for the manager, and they get rid of the players that don't suit a cohesive brand of football, then United can get back quicker. It depends how quick they want to get back. Obviously, we know that the board, are reluctant to spend money. They have spent money, but they are reluctant to spend the money that is needed, the likes of what City and the other teams do. But I think if United can identify the right players, Cunha for me is the right signing. Mbuemo for me is the right signing. If they can get more right signings in the club, then I shouldn't see no reason why they couldn't be back quicker. That's my opinion. But yeah, what I would say is it depends on them what their aspirations are. Um, Man United should chase Eze. Yeah, listen, I've been saying that for time. They should chase Eze. And again, I don't know why Eze hasn't even been mentioned with Man United. I think I'm pretty sure there's probably been inquiries, probably, but nothing concrete from what I've been hearing. In how many years do you think another French team except PSG will win Champions League? I don't know. I can't answer you because, as we know, PSG have got have got Arabs in charge, so which is why they're allowed to spend a lot of money and buy players in. So unless another French team comes along and that happens to, it's hard to kind of judge that, But I think if we look at Marseille, Monaco, they're probably the most likely to after PSG. But again, it's not really going to be realistic because these teams obviously don't have the money that PSG have. Do you think Juan Garcia will have success in Barca new season? He was good for Espanyol. Yeah, listen, I like him a lot, Garcia. I think he's a very good keeper, And one thing I'll say about Barcelona is that Barca very rarely get it wrong with keepers, I would say, because you look at the likes when they had Victor Valdez, they had, what's his name? Forgot his name now. Victor Valdez, Claudio Bravo as well. They love ball playing goalkeepers, and obviously Ter Stegen. So Juan Garcia for me is going to be the successor to Ter Stegen. So yeah, I think he will have success because Barca don't just bring in any kind of keepers. Keepers they bring in, they have to be very good with their feet. And from what I've seen of Juan Garcia, like he's good with his feet. So whether he's to the level of Ter Stegen, I don't know. But yeah, they very rarely get it wrong with the keeper's side, in my opinion. Why isn't Man United signing Anthony Robinson? He's really good for that left back spot. I would even take him at Arsenal with Lewis Skelly. Who can rotate left back and in midfield. Yeah, you know what, Gunners fan. I think Anthony Robinson, for me, I think he's very underrated personally. He is one of the better left backs in the league. The only problem is how much would Fulham want for him? That's the only stumbling block. I think obviously Man United do need to get help for Patrick Dorgu. Obviously Dorgu's only 20, so he would definitely need some support in that area. Man United have been rumoured to be looking at Purvis Estupiñán, who I think is a very good player. And I think he's someone that is ready to come in now and make an impact in Man United's team. But the Anthony Robinson one, again, I don't know. Maybe it's the fee. Maybe United don't like his profile. I don't know. But yeah, at Arsenal, he would be a decent left back for Arsenal as well if he was rotating with Lewis Skelly. And I think what Arsenal should actually do is, obviously Kieran Tierney's gone now. Zinchenko, I mean, he's on a higher wage, so he might be difficult to get rid of. But if they was to get Robinson and have Robinson and Lewis Skelly batting it out for left back, you know what I mean? As an Arsenal fan, you'd have to be pretty happy with that, Do you see Walton leaving Palace this summer? Nope. No, Walton's not going to go this summer. Walton's more of a next season thing because Palace are going to ask for more money, I believe, than Eze. I think Palace asks for about 70 mil for 75 mil for Walton, and no one's going to come in and pay that. So Walton's definitely going to leave Palace in the future because he's a very good player, but I don't see it being this summer. I think next summer you're more looking at. So Al Ittihad is Benzema and Al Ali is Ivan Toney. Yeah, I thought so. So yeah, as I said earlier, those teams can all, I think, compete in the Premier League for me. Forest should get McAtee. I think they can get McAtee easily. Well, if you're thinking of, but again, it's going to be, are Forest going to go like for like? Because if they're going to try and go like for like and replace Ilanga's pace, obviously it's not going to be McAtee. Whether they want to change the style of their style of play, really. Because McAtee has been told by City that he can go. So I think, yeah, definitely if they want to change their style, then McAtee could be a possibility. But I think they might go for someone that's a bit more pace and power. Because again, they've been linked to Johan Bakayoko of PSV. And they've been linked to Johan Visser, who they wanted before. So if they've lost Gibbs-White and Ilanga and replaced them with Bakayoko and Visser, that's not bad business. It's not bad business at all. So, but yeah, McAtee, I like him as a footballer, but I'm not sure who he goes to because City has said they're open to letting him go, but I think there will be some sort of sell-on clause or maybe even a buyback. But where he goes, I'm not too sure because I'm not actually sure who requires a player like him right now. Maybe it might be a West Ham if they've lost Kudus, and they might want to have someone that's a bit more of a ball player. Who knows? But I do think he's a good player. So Gamer says, you watching Dubois versus Usyk July 19th. Who you got winning? Also Crawford versus Canelo. Who you got for that? Yeah, bro, I am actually. I'm actually having a barbecue on that day as well. So I'm gonna put it on the screen outside, man. So I'll be watching that, man. I mean, Dubois has potential to cause problems, but I just don't see no one beating Usyk. I think Usyk is yeah, he's someone, he's one in a million, man. I think he's someone that won't get beat. But Dubois is awkward and he could cause a few surprises, but I see Usyk winning that. Crawford Canelo, what day? Oh, that's in September. I mean, that fight I want to watch. I have to watch that fight somewhere, I mean, is that fight going to be on the zone? Or is it going to be, I know that'll be in America. So, but if I'm honest with you, I don't know. I don't know. I want to say Crawford. I want to say Crawford because I think pound for pound, I think Crawford has to be. He's definitely for me in the top two or top three. So Crawford, Canelo. Canelo, I think Crawford's coming up in weight as well. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna say Crawford, but I mean Canelo. Sometimes I mean, how can you bet against Canelo? But I'm gonna say Usyk and I'm gonna say Crawford. You know, but who knows? It could go either way. But it's gonna be two great fights in my opinion, anyway. Visser at Man United, maybe. Listen, I'll take Visser, Mateta, Ekatike, um, Osimhen. Yeah, obviously I wanted John Duran, but that was never going to happen. But again, guys, I'm not too fussed about Man United getting a striker because you've got Joshua Zirkzee there, and if you just play Zirkzee back into his striker's role, which Amarim needs to do, and you've got the wide forwards. Listen, you don't need a striker as much because you're going to get the goals from out wide and have Xerxes as a facilitator, as I keep mentioning, and he'll get his fair share anyway. So the striker talk isn't a necessity for me. They just need to go and improve the midfield for me, central midfield. I think if Man United went for Eze, I definitely see Eze wanting to go there. Yeah, he could want to go there, but doesn't look like United are in for him at the moment. So, and again, because Cunha's there, there's not really a necessity to go and get Eze because this system that Amrim's hell-bent on playing, there's a left 10 there now already. So I just don't know, guys. I'll have to wait and see, man. I'll have to wait and see. Who would you take at Man United, Baleba or Walton? Great question, Gunners fan. And again, if you guys haven't seen my previous streams before, so for me, Carlos Baleba should be made the #1 target for Man United. Not just in midfield, but just in general. Because the reason being, and the appealing factor for Baleba is that he's left-footed. And he adds balance to the midfield. You know, it's not good having all right-footers in the midfield or all left-footers in the midfield. You need balance. And the fact that Baleba's 21, he's Premier League proven, he's left-footed, because Man United haven't had a left-footed central midfielder since Fred, you know. So the fact that Baleba's left-footed, he's 21, you know, he's Premier League proven, he's press-resistant, he's tenacious in the tackle, he's box-to-box. He's the ideal player that Man United need to go in for. You know, I'm a massive fan of Adam Walton, but for me, Baleba should be made the #1 target, 100%. And the fact that there's been no talk about Baleba, you know, I'm hearing people say he's going to cost about 100 mil. I don't believe that. And again, even if he was, oh wait a minute, Nottingham Forest consider Gibbs-White's proposed move. Oh my God. You know what? Forest are a bit of a weird team, you know. Forest were the ones, I think, as well, that snitched on Palace, if I remember right. And now they're doing all this with Tottenham and the Gibbs-White deal. It's delayed at the moment. My God. That's mad. That is actually mad. But yeah, as I said, guys, yeah, Baleba for me is #1 target. And then if you can try and get a Walton in the summer, then listen, I ain't going to complain. But for me, Baleba and a Walton midfield for Man United in the future, you know, I can back. But whether that happens, I don't know, you know. But I hope United at least try and get at least one of them, you know. But yeah, Baleba for me, 100%. Gunners fan says, do you think Iago Aspas is an underrated La Liga player? He averages 15-20 goals contributions per season and carries Celta Vigo. I mean, do you know what? Iago Aspas is a former Liverpool player, if anyone remembers. Left-footed striker. I don't think he's underrated. I think, you know, if you know your football, then you would know that he's a good player. He's a very technical player as well. And the fact that he's averaging 15-20 goals in contributions for Celta Vigo, again, I'm not really surprised. Do you know what? I just see some more deals. Chelsea just keep making money. Chelsea have just sold, guys. What's his name? Jorge Petrovic, the goalkeeper. He's going to what's the name? He's going to Bournemouth. 25 mil. So Chelsea have made. I don't even want to think about it. Chelsea have made about 80 million, yeah, from selling Madueke and Petrovic. If I'm Chelsea, that 80 million that they've made, and let's not forget, Chelsea are in the Club World Cup as well, and I think they've made about 100 mil. So Chelsea have made about 180 mil, yeah, from sales and from the Club World Cup. I'll be honest with you, I'll be very surprised if Chelsea don't use that money in gonna go and get Rodrigo. I'll be very surprised. Chelsea have made all that money, yeah, from the sales and from Club World Cup. Listen, I can see Chelsea spending big. I'm not sure who it's going to be, but they're going to spend big. They're going to spend big with that money they've got. I don't see anyone stopping Usyk. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, big up Gunners fan, man. Big up for coming on. Yeah, no worries, man. Just keep an eye out. Just keep an eye out on my schedule to see when I go live. Big up yourself. Big up to Sham. Yeah, big up, bro. Been going for 46 minutes. So I'm gonna bounce in a bit, guys, anyway. So I'll go through a few more of your questions. But yeah, as I said, Tottenham showing intent in this window, but obviously just seen the news now. I think someone mentioned it earlier. The Gibbs-White deal is delayed because there's been an illegal breach, apparently. So whether that gets done remains to be seen, man. Remains to be seen. Gamer says, imagine Chelsea getting Rodrigo. Wow, they'll challenge City and Liverpool. I agree. And as I said, guys, don't be surprised if Chelsea make 2 more big signings, because the money that they're getting from sales and from the Club World Cup, I'll be very surprised if they don't spend any of that money, because we're looking at 180 million that they've got. I think they've made about 100 million, as I said, in the Club World Cup so far for getting to the final. If they win it, obviously it'll be a bit more. And they've made 80 million from sales of Madueke and Petrovic. And I'm pretty sure they've sold someone else as well. I'm pretty sure they've sold someone else. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. If anyone knows who else Chelsea have sold, then let us know. But if I was Rodrigo, I'll be going Chelsea, no question asked. Leave Madrid ASAP. Yeah, I agree. For me, Chelsea or City, you know, Bayern Munich, I think are in there as well. But yeah, one of them 3 teams I can see him going to, you know, 100. It's because Spurs offered exactly what his release clause was. Forest will be making a complaint. It will end up signing for them, though. Yeah, I think it gets done. But again, release clauses. His release clause was 60 mil, so I'm not quite sure why. I mean, Forest is saying it's illegal for what they've done, but I'm not sure it can be illegal if the release clause is 60 mil and they've triggered it. So who knows? So Sham's saying that release clause wasn't out there. What do you? So there was no such thing as a 60 million release clause, you're saying? So there was no such thing as a 60 million release clause. There has to be a 60 million release clause, because why would that be put in the news if there was no release clause? That's odd. As you said, Sham, I still think it gets done anyway. But these delays, as I said, man, and until it's clear what's happened, I'm still gonna say it's gonna get done. You know. But guys, listen up, man. Big up yourselves for coming on each and every time. The gym's calling me. You know, I want to try and get this gym session in a slightly bit earlier now today. Obviously, yesterday was a mad one. But as I said, yeah, big up yourselves each and every time for coming through. Again, guys, I'm going to be back some point tomorrow. Not sure what time, but again, keep an eye on the schedule. And as I said, yeah, big up yourselves each and every time for coming through. Gamer says, how long you hit in the gym? No, only for like probably about an hour and a half. I'll see how it goes, you know. Obviously, it's a hot day, so, you know, it's going to be difficult in there. Their aircon ain't working too well at times. But, yeah, I'll say about an hour or just over an hour, I'm going to say. Sorry, reports says it's because they made an illegal approach to the player. Yeah, that's what I've read. Yeah, that's what I've read already. So, oh, they never granted permission for him to speak to Spurs. But Sham, they haven't got to grant permission because if it's a release clause, you just pay the money and that's it. The club are powerless to do anything about it. So yeah, they haven't got to stick to the release clause to give him permission, because once you pay the money, you're entitled to go and speak to the player. Every time I see this Madueke deal, man, I can't take it seriously. 55 mil, madness. Um, yeah, big up gamer, big up. So they're saying he spoke to them before offering the release. Oh, okay. Okay, so basically the old-fashioned tapping up, basically. So what's happened is that they've more or less spoken to Gibbs-White on a private, and then they've offered the 60 million. I mean, you know what? It's kind of a difficult one because if there was no release clause and they spoke to him on a private, then I understand it. But if he's got the release clause anyway, them speaking to him on a private makes no difference because they've activated the release clause. So that's kind of a weird one. That's kind of a weird one. So I don't really know what Forest are gonna. I don't really know what Forest are trying to get out of this because yeah, I understand that if they've had a conversation with him before, fair enough. But he's got a release clause, so they've activated the release clause. So I don't really know why that would happen. So Barcelona have made Man United forward Marcus Rashford a clear transfer target this summer. Yeah, we'll wait and see, man. We'll wait and see. But guys, big up yourselves each and every time for coming through. As I said, keep an eye on the schedule for when I go live. And make sure, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. And smash that like button, guys. Big up yourselves. And I'll catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.